welcome back to B Rob Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Shamika.
And I'm Shalonda, the other co-host.
Yes, and we are B Rob, Black Real Ass Women, sharing raw conversations on real topics affecting our communities. Now, although we are a podcast hosted by women, we're not exclusive to women because we love our black men too.
Show do.
Yeah. And now today we have ourselves a very, very special guest, one of our panelists from our Rize Summit.
Yes, Miss Adrianne House. How are you today?
I'm fine, ladies. How's everybody doing today?
We
are
girl.
good.
We enjoying our black ass day.
Hey. Amen.
So Adrianne House was one of our panel members for the Rize Summit.
Just the summit itself is on YouTube.
Right. Right. So if you haven't checked that out, please check it out. It's about 3.5 hours, but it is really, really good. They dropped a lot of gems on us, and we learned a lot.
Fire conversation, that's for sure. The entire time, not a dull moment. So
right. So for the ones who have not watched the summit, we would like, if you don't mind, Adrianne, if you can give us a brief bio of who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Adrianne House. I work at San Antonio Fighting Back. I work in the nonprofit sector. I do drug-free communities. So I currently sit under 2 grants, EPPC and the CORA grant, which deal with the opioid crisis. I'm also a community advocate, a mother of 6, a student. That's just about it. But I love my community.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
We love that. Awesome. So we're going to jump right into it then. So we wanted to bring you on to B Rob Podcast, Adrianne, so you can kind of have a chance to really elaborate maybe on certain things that you didn't get a chance to talk about at the summit, since we were pressed for time, of course, right?
Okay.
And as well, if we had any other like questions that we kind of wanted to follow up on, we can use this time to do so. So during the summit, I recall you addressing the term poverty pimps. Okay. And basically that poor people are like a rich commodity, right?
Correct.
To this capitalistic society that we live in.
Correct.
So why do you say that the black vote might be lesser than others? I don't know. How would you kind of elaborate on that comment that you made?
Well, first, because African Americans don't go vote enough. A lot of times when you talk politics in our community, a lot of people don't even know, the difference between an electoral vote and a popular vote.
Yeah.
So when you're not educated enough to know what's going on in society, it's easy for politicians or anybody that's running for office to come into your community and ask you for a vote if you don't understand what's really going on. Right. But right now, that's like the end thing to do is go vote, because oh my gosh, your vote really matters. But in actuality, if you go and vote and you don't know what you're voting on, how does it really matter? So we have been always tricked. Since we've been in this country, we've always been tricked to believe that somebody is really gonna be there for us, and right. That can be our own people, the people that look like us too. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, even though they come out in our communities and they beg for our vote, what has really changed once we get them in office?
Yeah.
So, does our vote really matter when it comes to our issues? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, if we were more educated in a lot of things, I think our communities would be more. They wouldn't be as disadvantaged as they are. Because to be honest with you, it takes us to build our own communities, right? So when you have others coming into your community and telling you what you need to do, what you already know what you need to do, it's just that they have the financial backing and we don't.
Yep.
So we're voting, we're constantly voting, we're always voting, and yet and still our stomachs still touch our backs. Okay? Yet and still we are, in the poverty line, we're still below, or we're the highest in the poverty, or however they want to, classify us.
Right.
But our only thing that really happens is our neighborhoods become gentrified, and then we become displaced. So when I say our vote, and it was a time that every 2 slaves counted as a vote. So that means every 2 black people counted as one.
Yeah.
But of course, when we became able to vote, they needed, more power. When they need us, we became one person alone.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, our votes, it's important to vote. I'm not going to say that it's not, but you have to ask yourself, if I go and vote, what is going to change? And if you want to see change, you have to be the change that you want to see.
I feel like this was in the 60s as well, too, and the 70s, right? A lot of the black activists that they pressed very hard on politics and getting our people to understand the political framework in America, because in many ways the reason why they try to suppress our votes is because, hey, we can make or break an election sometimes, right? Depending on how we come out. Like,
exactly. We've
right?
been making and breaking elections before we could even vote.
Yeah, that's very true.
We just didn't know. Slaves just didn't realize that, those two bodies were considered one to get somebody elected into office. So, and then too, we have to understand that a lot of times when the Constitution was written, it wasn't written for us.
Nope.
So you're not going to understand when it comes to amendments. And, you hear people talk about the 13th Amendment and this and all that. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Do we really press on that? Because times have changed drastically from 1746 or 45 or whatever they wrote the Constitution. Times have changed drastically, and that Constitution is still in play.
Well, I think it can be argued that although, they always say, look, especially as a Black American, look, there are two constitutions in this country.
Right.
There was the original one, and then there's our Constitution, technically, which are those three amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. And I think that what we're currently seeing, and a lot of Black conscious and woke people are saying, right, the issue is that when those three amendments were put into place, and they were supposed to be for abolishing slavery,
right,
but just modernizing it in a different way, of course, right, giving us the right to vote,
correct,
and all that other stuff, that the issue is that we as a people have yet to truly get the restitution within those three amendments, and now we have other groups that come and reap the benefits from those three amendments, where we're still in limbo.
And I think a lot of that is because of lack of educating ourselves on their political system.
Yeah. Agree. A lot of us have never took an interest.
I have people this
politics.
day that still ask me questions about certain things, and you're talking about, whether they're educated or not, or the background, it doesn't matter. Just looking at the age of the person. And I'm just like, are you serious?
Right.
Then I have to realize they are serious. And so, I'm always being questioned about certain stuff when it comes to voting. And it's sad because those are things that we should know already. Those are things that you should have learned and picked up. And I don't blame anybody for not understanding or not knowing. What I do blame us for is not educating ourselves
and staying that way,
and exactly, and stand that way, because now you have the right to
the tools, the resources,
education.
So our next question, based off of the Rize Summit, when we were talking about our music, white supremacist groups, they usually weaponize hip hop lyrics. I've actually seen it on a website, a white supremacist website, and they're like, oh, look at these lyrics. This is why, blacks deserve to be shot and killed, right? And obviously we know hip hop was given to us. But so what is your perspective on that, white supremacist groups weaponizing our music?
Sometimes people love to try to find a reason to justify their behavior. And so, I've heard, people say that are not Black, say stuff like, well, you guys call yourselves the N-word, or, you guys out there killing each other, or you guys are doing this and you guys are doing that. Those are just excuses for people to have certain types of behavior. Hip-hop music was founded for us to have a way to exercise our freedom of voice and speech and talk about our pain that we go through in our communities. It has become more commercialized, I guess that you can say. I'm not in the music world. So more commercialized because it was money. Once they saw how much money that, they were making off of this, and how technically hip hop brought a community together. It brought us together. Because now you're listening to, when Curtis Blow and them first came out, you guys are probably real young. But
I know Curtis Blow now.
When Curtis Blow and them first came out, and so from them, And then we started with NWA when they came out.
Hey.
You know, when they came out with that
Shout out Ice
gangster
Cube.
rap, yes, it really opened up the doors. But what really, really did it is when you had down south music, that third coast.
Yeah.
That third coast music, because you're talking about states that had to deal with slavery, deal with a lot of racial tensions and things like that. Like it's still places in the South that you can go and you can
Mississippi,
see,
Louisiana,
you know, blacks are not liked here or whatever the case may be. But
It's here in Texas too.
yeah,
I know, right? Biggest
The
Texas
exit
is.
142, I believe. Stay away from. I don't
yeah,
know.
so,
Lord,
yeah.
wait a minute, what?
So I think a lot of times people play off of our pain and our anger, and they take it to benefit themselves because again, who takes us serious? Because if anybody took us serious, we would not be in the situations and talking about the same things over and over and over again. Every election year, we have to talk about the same thing about the poverty in the black community, the violence in the black community. Nobody has to tell us about this stuff. We know. We live it. But our music is the way that we can express our rhythm and our blues. You understand what I'm saying?
hear you.
And they always try to find some type of way to take that and take our pain and use it against us.
But I want to make a comment on that. So, and I'm 100% with you. I think that hip hop in its origin and its inception, right? First coming from like rock and roll, like Grandmaster Jay, like when it first started, 100%, it was something that was like built by us. It was, you know, they was even rapping conscious back then too, sort of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like it was meant to, to
know.
make us empowered to be black. You know what I'm saying?
Be proud.
Absolutely.
Make you proud,
proud
to
to be black. Thank
Exactly.
you. But I guess the issue is that, like you said, now, like 2020 rap, because it has become so commercialized and because it is an industry that is predominantly ran by another group of people, right?
They don't look like us.
That don't look like us and that do not have our best interests at heart. I guess that is why the controversy is there, where it's like, hey, you know, that group of people, they don't mind pimping out our young boys and girls, or older young boys and girls, right? And let them, make certain lyrics or whatever that's encapsulating and talking about all the wrong things to do, even if that is their lifestyle, or maybe even not. We know it. Not all of them actually live that. Some of them just know that that's the moneymaker, right?
Future.
So
Right.
they use those lyrics because that's going to bring in the dough, bring in the money, bring in the sales, the streams, etc. That we know that group of people uses it to weaponize it against our folks because our kids are impressionable. And if that is their environment and they do see or hear their favorite rapper, artist, whatever, rapping about that, whether that's really how they choose to live their life or not, they'll resonate with that. And so one thing I wanted to bring up, right, like, maybe like 6 months ago, I had heard this podcast, Crazy Bone. It was either Busy Bone or Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. One of his podcast episodes, he was talking about back in the 90s when he went to a meeting. He was brought to a meeting. They had to sign like a whole non-disclosure agreement and everything.
Right.
Long story short, within this particular meeting, they were being told that, hey, the music industry has just stepped a foot into the private prison industrial complex. Okay?
Right.
We done bought shares, and we have an invested interest
It was
into these
mass
prisons.
incarceration back then.
And
of
so
course.
we want to use the music industry. We want to use hip hop. We want to use specific groups of people and their music to fill these prisons up. And the way he describes it was so eerie. It was the weirdest shit ever. People's mouths were open, like they couldn't believe that they were just talking like this, that they were like, yo, this is the strategy.
So can you imagine how many meetings have happened like that behind closed doors with people that looked like us and they allowed it to
allowing it to
continue?
happen 100%
So then you
because that's
have
the
to
money.
So then you have to go back to 400 years when people that looked like us took their people and listened to these other colonizers or whatever you want to say, who said we're going to take them over here and this
Right.
ABCD,
And reap
not
something
knowing
from
that was taking them to really try to build this country up or whatever
For free, right.
So again,
Yeah.
as African Americans, you have to sit back sometimes when you're sitting in those type of rooms and ask yourself, okay, is selling my soul really worth it?
Yeah.
And back then,
They've been doing it to us for years.
a lot of times you try to you try to justify your actions. You understand what I'm saying? Like for me, I'll never be able to be a politician. I'll probably never be able to do certain things I would have liked to do because I'm never going to sell my soul, and I'm never going to sell my community. I'm never going to sell my people. I'm never going to degrade black women. I'm never going to do any
Not
of
a
that.
certain line you're willing to cross.
Right. Just to, have numbers or people follow me or, do certain things, because at the end of the day, I have to live with that decision.
Yeah.
And so we don't all think like that. And so
100.
I think a lot of times people feel like, okay, if I can get myself out of this situation, then I can come back and help those, but that's not what never happens. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
It's recently now that you're starting to see a lot of people, especially in the hip hop era, wanting to give back and want to have organizations. They want to do this. They want to do hip hop. Been around a long time, and we're just not giving back to it, or giving back to our communities and really trying to rebuild our communities.
Using it to do so.
They've made enough money off of hip hop to where we could have already started our own things.
Oh yeah, big time.
You don't need you shouldn't still be dealing with Sony and A&E and all these other companies when you have multi-million-dollar rappers running around here like crazy that can do their own thing. And for some reason, it's like if we don't get the approval of others, we won't. We're scared to step out or something.
And
or be blackballed.
create our own lane.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to do that. Like if I had all the money that a lot of them make.
I just said that yesterday. I was like, please give me the money because I know what to do with
Yeah.
it. Take it away from Blueface
Like,
Baby and give it to me.
It was a small town in Georgia that was being sold. Like you
Oh
telling me all
yeah.
those
I heard
rappers,
about that. That is
one
so
rapper
dope.
could have bought that.
Right.
And with all the friends and everybody else in
Right.
the entertainment could have been built. So you see what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
have to start asking yourself, do we really want to see the change that we're asking for?
Yeah.
Because change could have came already.
Yeah, but you heard about the in Georgia though, where the black families, they
100
came
acres.
together, right, and purchased the land. Like we need to do
That's
more
fine,
of that.
and that's fine. But when you have people who already have solid foundations,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this
yeah.
is
Like
the thing.
celebrity. I hear you.
I'm not saying that because you get out here and you make all this money that you have to give back, but you cannot talk about changes in the black community. You can't talk about what you want to see and why we can't do A, B, C, D, E.
If you're not
you're
doing
When you have
sitting
the
on that
means
money,
to do it.
and you're not doing it. Yeah, I agree.
Other communities flourish because even if their kids go off to college and don't come back home, they still put money back into that community. They still send money into their rotaries. They still, when football games and stuff and the school needs something, those alumni put in, to that school or whatever. That's what you have to have more of. We don't do that.
No.
We get our money. What's the first thing we say? And I'm not giving back because now everybody think I owe them. Nobody said you owed anything. But there's a lot of people, that village that help you get there, that's still raising another one so they can make it out the village.
Yeah.
All we're hoping is that you pay it forward.
We have
We're
to.
not asking you to take everything
That's
out your
how we
pocket because
move.
guess what? We've been moving before you had the money.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because we helped you get to the money.
But
'Cause
that's
you
the
didn't
way
get
we
there by
progress.
yourself.
We progress
Exactly.
by doing that. And
Exactly.
you're right. There's not enough of those of us that have that luxury and have the privilege to do so. There's not enough of them actually. Or even just talking about NFL, NBA, every last one of them. Why can you not put your monies together and create our own leagues?
I will
so that
watch
we're
football then.
not-
I don't watch it right now.
We're not shucking and jiving, right? For all these people that don't look like us, that's truly just using your talent, exploiting it, for not for the benefit of us, because that money ain't going back into our
Days
our
and
families,
times
our
change, but
generations.
nothing
No.
else does. Days and times change, but nothing else does. Modern day slavery is
hear you.
always going to be. They used to use us to watch us fight, and with dogs.
Exactly,
So now
exactly.
all they
Same
doing
thing.
is paying their money to watch
Same
you run up
shit,
and down
different
the
toilet.
field. Yeah,
Excuse me,
with,
mama.
with the pig skin. So yeah,
I hear you.
because it wasn't
you
even a
know?
time we could even play in their football leagues, and so we had the Negro leagues and things like that. And again, those were prosperous. So what
Yeah.
did they come and do?
They came and
Take
turned
the
it
best
up.
players from the Negro leagues and
then
brought
took
them into
to the
their
white
leagues.
leagues. Yeah.
Exactly.
And as you brought it up as well too in the summit, and everyone agreed, where we messed up was segregation. Was when we did away with that. I mean,
And a lot of
instead
people,
of us trying to be a part of theirs, we should have kept our own.
And a lot of people don't understand that when I say things like that, what I'm saying is this: we fought harder when we were all together. When we were all in communities together, you didn't worry about a lot of things. All the kids went to one person's house in the community. Everybody knew Big Mom or the old lady on the street. It was Miss Betton for us, or Miss Sims for us. Or, you understand what I'm saying? Where your mamas could, take the kids over there because they had to work. Your parents had to work. Like, we tried harder. We stuck together. We believed more in each other. And then somewhere down the line, we wanted to be equal, but once we became, well, we're not even equal. But once we were given the opportunities to flourish,
to join or be a part of,
and this is where we lost it right here. They already had a plan. We wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Very.
They knew as years were going by, African Americans were educating themselves more. They were getting prominent jobs. They were becoming businessmen or athletes, whatever it was. The point is, they were getting educated. They were being educated, and that was the fear. So they had to try to make it look like we were becoming one to keep the foot on the neck or keep us in line.
I was gonna say, keep us in our place.
Keep us in our place. And to be honest with you, they have done a very good job.
Oh yeah, they've done an amazing job. I think the main
they have
three.
taken everything we have built and made it to them. I look at the Kardashians and it irritates myself.
Oh yes.
I want some Kim Kardashian braids. Excuse me. You want some who?
That poor child.
They put purple and green in their hair, and all of a sudden it's cute. But when we do it, it's ghetto. And then what happens is, not only does it come from society, but it comes from our own. And so when it's coming from our own,
and that's where
it gives society permission. Okay,
that's truly where they succeeded, though.
Right.
They succeeded in getting us mentally, where they don't even necessarily have to oppress us
abuse
so
is
more.
real.
We
Mental
oppress
abuse
our
is
damn selves.
And
You know
I
what
tell
I'm
people,
saying?
I listen to people, and I'm listening to different podcasts, and I listen to African Americans, and we don't always have to agree. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't do it. What your mama always say? Don't do it
In front of
front
other
of
people.
Exactly.
You
There's
disagree
so
behind
many
closed
conversations
doors,
need to
'cause
have.
You don't see them disagreeing in front of everybody.
Thank you.
Ever.
Republicans, a lot of Republicans can't stand Trump, but they're not gonna sit on TV and say they're gonna be right there.
Right.
I'm gonna support.
You're
him
not
because
gonna
he's part of
see
the
our
Republican Party.
dissension, our
Us,
disunity.
and I'm not supporting them because then it's
It
just
happened
like,
with Ice Cube.
yeah,
I know.
And you know why? Again, that's the lack of education and lack of understanding. The lack of education, and the thing is one person feel they gotta sell their soul to help 300 million, then I'll take that charge. But the thing is, now it's up to us to make sure we do what he said. You understand why he sold his soul, or whatever they say that he did, or how that people feel about it. Well, it's up to you to be that change again, because he's gonna take that backlash for you.
And are you saying you feel like Ice Cube sold his soul? Were you talking about Ice Cube? You just
I don't
saying?
feel like any of them sold their soul.
Okay.
I feel like they making decisions that they felt was best at the time for them to make. I can't judge people because I don't always make the best decisions, and I may do something that y'all may not agree with. But to me, it's a reason why It's
We're still gonna love you, sis.
Right.
And that's what we need to get to.
And you have to
still
have
love you,
tough
sis.
skin in this game. It's a lot of people elbows that I have to rub, and I have to sit in.
Right.
And I know they look at
Smile.
me differently because I look different and I act different, and I am who I
Be
am.
yourself.
But if it's gonna bring something to the people that I love, and I want to see be successful,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that hit.
Yeah. Well,
But if I take the hit, I expect y'all to get out there and do what's needed to be done. Cause I'm gonna take the hit, and that's all he doing is taking the hit. Black folks you can't ever please black people.
But I want to go on record to say that I 100,050 million supports Ice Cube and his contract with Black America. It is unprecedented, at least within my lifetime. It is not something that we've seen. I know that a lot of us that are non-celebrities, we sometimes have a feeling about certain celebrities trying to take a stand or try to be the pillar or the foundation for us. But I'm saying, if you truly listen to his interviews, y'all, don't read no news articles.
Right.
Actually
Listen to
hear
what
what
he
he's
has
saying.
Listen
Hear
to
what
him.
he is saying. He is trying to put something in place that is for us, by us, and it is a living, breathing document, that which we can still add to. If there's something missing, bring it to the table. Let's put it in there. This is meant to be something that we can now finally demand of these politicians, of these leaders, of this country, to give us our just due.
But it goes back to this. You have to be educated in what's being talked about.
Yeah,
in order
of course.
to understand why he did what he's done. And I have I have really pushed to have politics 101 at community centers. Why aren't we doing that?
That's really
You
good.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have pushed for certain things because growing up in South Central, the community centers that I know, community centers are nothing like that right now.
Yeah.
And that's where the disservice comes in the community.
It's the disconnect. You're right.
Very big disconnect because,
people don't really know.
My daughter that's 10 minutes away from another community shouldn't know more than her other 15-year-old friend because they live 10 minutes away, but the demographics are different. You understand what I'm saying? And so that it's up to us. And again, I don't care how much we hoop and holler out here. If we don't show them that we can do it ourselves, we're never going to be respected.
No, absolutely.
You
And we've
cannot
been hoodwinked. I'm sorry, I'll say it. We've been hoodwinked to be placed in the pocket of a certain party, and that's just the way it's supposed to be.
And it's not. I tell people, you don't
if
vote
they're
for a
not really
ticket.
for us, and they haven't really done much for y'all, come on. I'm 100%. We should be an independent party. We said it at the summit. We need to create our own political party because neither one of the major party systems are actually for Black people. And y'all have to understand that. When they talk in persons of color, that is not us. That is a whole other group of people that is inclusive of us, but we never ever see the fruits of that labor. Understand that.
Right.
When they talk about disenfranchised, when they talk about minorities, all these
They're not
terms
talking about us.
that me coming from a social services background, okay, prior to me getting educated and aware and a lot leveling up to a certain consciousness, these were all the terms that, yes, I want to be a part of nonprofits. I want to work for social service programs so that I can help these groups of people. I can help at risk because I'm thinking that's my people. But
have you ever
understand,
heard-
those are ambiguous terms where they include so many other groups of folk.
Because sometimes I hear people say minorities, then I hear them say African Americans.
Yeah. Well, and
That's a new thing. People that say minorities and then they say African Americans.
at once upon a time, that's how we thought that term was meant to be, that it was synonymous to mean African Americans. Understand that is not the case
because nobody really
anymore.
likes us like that.
That is not the case.
They just like our culture. We have a bomb-ass culture.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody loves our culture, but they do not want to go through the trials and tribulations of what we have to face here in America. And it's
No,
hard.
of course not.
It's hard, and they don't understand it. But I'll tell anybody every day, I love being a Black woman.
Oh,
I wouldn't
most
change it
definitely.
for the
Wouldn't
world.
change it for nothing. Just like
love it.
what's the white lady, Jane Smith? Y'all know I'm talking about, the white lady who she's real heavily known, at least for being she's a white woman. She's very honest about the conditions of how us as Black Americans have been treated
the older lady?
in this country. And I think she's been interviewed by T.I. recently or what have you. Right? She just said some off the wall stuff. But my point is, like, one of her older interviews or her older TV show series, she was on a TV show and she asked a whole room full of white folks and said, I have a question for all of y'all. How many of you in this room would like to be treated as a like how your Black Americans or brothers and sisters, whatever term she used, get treated here in America? And none of them raised their hand. And it was like, so all that tells me is what's going on, and you know that it's wrong because you wouldn't want it for yourself or your family, but yet you refuse to do anything about it.
And that's because of that privilege. You understand? Even for African Americans, it goes back even to slavery times, because you remember you had the field and you had the house.
Yeah.
And as time went on, and it still goes on to this day.
Yeah.
Field and house wasn't even supposed to mix.
Yeah, they were meant
because
to
light
be
skins didn't want
separated.
any pickaninnies, in their bloodline. Until this day,
we still deal with that colorism.
We have the colorism in our own community, and so it's still like that.
Yeah.
And
big time.
it's
It's
have
been
a lot-
ingrained.
we have a lot
That
of-
Willie
a lot of
Lynch
work to do.
syndrome, that's
It's
something
crazy.
serious. If y'all don't do nothing, please educate yourself on the Willie Lynch letters. When I tell
I'm
you,
trying to get
you
people to educate
read
themselves on the letters
that,
forever.
if you read
That's
that
stuff
document, you will blow your mind. I cried out of anger,
Yeah.
but I
Yep.
cried to know,
Yep.
wow, this shit actually worked.
I told
Because
my-
we
I
are
was telling
still
my
living
daughter-
it to this day.
I was telling my daughter the other day about how they used to use black babies for alligator meat.
I know.
And she just looked at me, and so I had her look it up, and she was like, "Mama, and look, it's real. You know, although it didn't happen we wasn't there at that time, I still feel the effects of that.
Most definitely.
I still, when
That's-
you know, when
that's
you just hear
ancestral,
the buck
generational
breaking
trauma.
of men, of
That's
black
real.
men, and all
That's
of that,
real.
like black men don't even understand how powerful they are.
But that's why I'm loving the Ice Cube. I'm gonna be honest. That's why I love the Ice Cubes. I know
I
our
love
people are so
any
conflicted and we
dominant black
confused. But I love that him standing on his 10 toes down. Shout out Nipsey, rest in peace, brother. 10 toes down, 100%. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that he's exerting his black masculinity and not letting anybody knock him off his square. He done gone on every single interview, and you will see he has never folded. He has stayed down 100%. And I seen a meme or a post or something on one of my friends from high school, and it was, of course, Dog and Cube, and that he ain't never been about politics. Well, all of a sudden, is he starting now, and this and that, and it's like.
He was a street nigga.
As far as I'm concerned, Cube been spitting woke shit and about politics because F the police was one of the most political statements ever, and it's clearly still relevant to this day. That was my comment, by the way, that I left on that page.
Yep.
But I'm saying, you know, it's like, dang, we so quick to knock down our own people
But
that's
you
actually
also
trying to
talking
do
about people who
stuff.
probably just got involved into politics themselves, so they don't even know who's
But they
all
trying
been
to call.
involved and who's all.
Or
like,
just brainwashed in general and not willing to look at this as a bipartisan
I have people
issue.
coming at me all the time about the politics, and I just have to sit back and laugh. I let them do their thing. I let them talk. I let them spew. I let them get it all
so
out.
emotional.
And then sometimes I just clap back with one word, because at the end of the day, you can't come to me about anything when it comes to politics and things of that nature, because I've been doing this. It was embedded in me.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mother used to make us read encyclopedias and dictionaries and things like that.
Yeah.
And we had to write her reports and give her an understanding of why, like if I got in trouble, things of that nature. And so she kept us educated, very educated. My mother always told us, if they can't take anything from you, they will never be able to take your education and what you've learned. And so I try to push that and instill that. And it's hard, you know, especially with social media and everything that can come out, and the Googles and the this and the that. Babe, you know, my mother, it was instilled in us because she did not want to raise ignorant black women or have a ignorant black son. And that was very important to her, and to this day it still is. Like, my mother still has a bad habit of correcting people when they speak, correcting your English, and people are offended, but she's no, because when you're sitting in that room and you're the only one by yourself, you would have more respect if you know how to speak. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's very important. You can't sit at round tables if you don't even know how to have a conversation. You can't even speak to me if you don't know how to have a conversation. And I mean that. That's very important. When people text me, you break that text down and send me a text like that, I won't even respond to you. Talk to me like you have some common sense. I don't understand all of that.
Well, with that said, you are tuned into B-Raw Podcast. We're going to go for a short commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, yo, what's happening? I'm Legacy City, founder and CEO of Streetligion and Streetligion Nation Radio, home of the independent artist, where you control the narrative. No, seriously, if you're an independent artist and you're looking for radio play, and you know how hard it is to get on the radio, submit your music to streetligionnationradio@gmail.com. Make sure you have an MP3, artwork, metadata, and your song is registered with all the proper pros, sound exchange, and all that other good stuff. Video-based BDS radio, etc. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm dope. My manager, my person that do the video, will put all the information around here somewhere.
Welcome back, everyone, to
Hey,
Be Raw
everybody.
Black Real Ass Women. I am Shalonda Mack, and we have my lovely co-host Shamika.
Hi.
And one of our panelists from our Rize Summit, Miss Adrianne House, who's over here dropping gems on us just like any other guest. Yes,
Hey,
ma'am. We
everybody.
appreciate you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get right back into it. I heard that you brought up social media. I feel like we feel like social media is one of our children's biggest influence today. How can we steer our children to looking up to community leaders instead of celebrities? Everything's online, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You got virtual homeschooling. Everything seems to be going through the internet. I have a 5-year-old and she looks at YouTube videos, and instead of playing with her toys,
Right.
she
She'll watch
watches
other people play with
white
their toys.
kids and this little Asian kid Ryan who makes millions of dollars a year.
I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure out how that
Right.
happened.
I'm like,
Where did Ryan's world come
let's
from?
not even talk about that. Let's talk about the Elsa and the Anna, and just sitting there
yeah.
talking about dolls playing, and I'm like, I buy this stuff for you guys. Why are we?
Aren't you
And
playing?
so I think over time, and I know a lot of people are gonna get mad, especially a lot of mothers, but oh well, we have to work. And households are heavier now, especially if you're doing them by yourself. So if you've just got through working an 8-hour day, which means you've probably been gone home for 10 hours already because an hour leaves, or you go to work an hour to get home, you still have to stop at the store, you still have to cook, you still have to, whatever it is. Sometimes just being able to get that peace of mind, those kids are on those tablets,
Right.
they're not bothering you.
Yeah.
You get to sip your wine
Right.
in
So,
peace.
It's so true.
But
She's been the real.
But at the same time, there's nothing wrong if they're gonna do it. Make them go on to something that's educational.
Educational,
Make them
yes.
like, even now, I'm on my daughter. If I see another TikTok,
Oof.
you understand what I'm saying? And because I'm at fault. Don't get me wrong. I'm very woke, very conscious, and I'm a hard disciplinarian. But I'm also older now. When I'm speaking on certain people or talking about certain people, they don't know who I'm talking about, and that's bothering me.
Yeah.
Put the tablets down.
Oh, we got to talk. We
Pick
need to
up the
have a
book.
lesson.
And people don't even utilize the library, so you can go on social media for everything. Well, look up, my daughter's in trouble this weekend, so she has to write me a book report.
Okay, now, Mom.
So a book report is going to consist of, whatever topic I pick.
what you thinking? Or you
Right
can't say
now, what I'm picking is she has to give me a book report on a successful African-American woman of another generation, of another time.
Okay.
Not something now that she can look up and just look at, whoever she think, because she'll give me some rapper or some Instagram model and think that's who, Yeah, you will be able to use the laptop, but I'm going to tell you guys, laptops are nothing like having those phones.
No.
So it is a big difference. To us, it may not seem like
Oh, no,
but
it
to
is.
them, it's a very big difference.
Yes.
And actually having to go and do some research and, really doing me some PowerPoints and stating where you got your information.
The whole presentation.
The whole
Exciting.
presentation.
MLA form and everything.
Who I'm finna give her is Sarah. Y'all know
Sarah Bartman?
Sarah Bartman.
Okay.
Sarah Bartman was an African-American lady. I want to
was
give
like
her her
French.
respect, who had this anatomy that would be banging nowadays. Her body structure, she had the body of a goddess, and men flocked to it. White men definitely. So instead, because they've never seen anything like this on a woman, her anatomy was just so perfect and so beautiful. They would take her around, and they made her be like an animal in a circus. And they would strip her down naked and only have, I guess, things to cover her breasts and her private parts. And they treated her like she was one of the animals in the circus. Kept her chained up, and they would gawk at her for hours. Kids, women, men. Disrespected for many years. Even after her death, she was disrespected, because then they took her body and dismantled it to learn her anatomy, because they wanted to figure out, why were we so curvaceous? Why were we so beautiful? It just brought tears to my eyes, because I just could not understand, like, how could we be treated so bad?
Jealousy,
And
insecurity.
that's what it was. And
Absolutely.
so the reason why
All
I want
that.
my daughter to do a book report on her is because I need her to understand that it's okay to never be ashamed of who you are, because this is where we come from. We're gonna have the curves. We're gonna have the breasts, you know, and then it leads on to another conversation of how they used to call us promiscuous because we have the curves and the breasts and everything at a young age. But what they don't like to talk about is how it also made us targets. You understand what I'm saying? At a very young age. And then you want to know why we grow up to be loud and angry, because we've been having to protect ourselves
for a very long time.
For a very long time. And even when we were children, we had to protect ourselves and didn't even know it. Young black girls don't know about the African American soldiers that were women. 300 soldiers. They were women that protected. So when you see that in what is that? Black Panther? About those African American women soldiers. That's true.
Yeah, matriarchy
That's
was a
true.
real thing.
It, you know,
we came
and they protected the village when the men were gone, when they had to go off to war, when they had to hunt.
Shoot, I
she
make
hears
my
about
kids
that.
do book reports too. Well, my daughter's 5, so I just tell her draw a picture of what she thought she learned. But my son, I feel like, you know, he is 10 now, and we haven't done any Black history at all until
Right.
this year.
Right.
And so I don't know, you tell me what you think about it, but I kind of am starting from like now and then going backwards. So like he's watched Selma, he's watched, well, we started the Central 5, is that what it's called? The Exonerated 5 on Netflix.
When they see us.
When they see us, that one, my bad. You know, he started to watch that and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to I'm trying to teach him, okay, this is what the injustices are. This is why it's happened. This is who we were before all that in slavery and stuff. You know what I mean?
But I think it's important, and I think any way that you do it is okay as long as you do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
just gotta educate.
think that's my main thing is no matter whatever works for you, whatever works for the child.
Yeah.
It's as long as you're doing it. I just don't like to see African American kids like wearing certain stuff, idolizing other people when it's like, no, wait a minute, hold up. And people can feel how they want to feel about that. I really don't care. You can call me prejudiced, you can call me what you want. I don't care. I'm not ashamed to be Black. I'm proud to be Black. And there are a lot of people that paved the
Black
way
power.
before us. You understand? And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
need because guess what? When LULAC is doing all those scholarships, nobody ever says, well, how come you didn't have any African American recipients? Never. Not one time. You understand? But when the NAACP has a scholarship fund, if we don't have a diverse,
It's an issue.
we racist. Oh my God, they
Right.
prejudiced.
That's the
Oh my God, it bothers me that African Americans still do this apology thing, or the you know, we forgive everybody,
Oh, everybody. Don't matter.
what I'm
Doja Cat, everybody. I'm
but
like,
you don't forget the female that slept with your man, but you forgive your
But
man.
you forget.
yes.
Or you don't forgive.
You have
you-
misplaced forgiveness.
Yeah, I have no problems with winning the lottery and building a Black community.
Girl, I just did that yesterday.
I have
Dang,
no
I just said that
problems with- I don't have
yesterday.
any problems with buying like 20 acres of land and putting like a little farming
Yes.
store on it, building a little
Yes,
subdivision.
but a
I even
whole
get the
commu-
people a church. Because I know, you know, you have to let it out, release it some kind of way. I'll give you your spirituality. Whatever you need for us to be one.
To thrive and be a well
I
sustainable,
will
equitable
do.
community.
If I could win the lottery,
Yes.
man. And the thing is, you don't even have to win the lottery to do it. You just have to have like-minded people
Come together,
come
pull their
together.
resources together.
Right. And so I
build.
was somewhere, and I
Period.
was like, how did this get done? And the history was, it was so many people together, and they put all their money together, and this is just what happened. And I was sitting there like,
What if only we could do that much better?
It's just like so freaking difficult to find anything helpful for specifically Black people, right? Everything else is like, oh, we're racially,
you only get it though around this time, like, you know, the whole racial thing is a money thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so because everybody's benefiting, now all of a sudden we are cared about. Like we are the most loved human beings right now with some people than we have ever been in our lives. So instead of taking that and turning it and using their own tricks against them, we eat it up and like, yeah, we're finally accepted. We're finally at the table. No, you're not, Negro. No.
Benefits them.
It's still
I mean,
symbolism.
let's
what I'm
be
saying?
clear though. The reason that is because of what's happening November 3rd.
Right. And
That's all it
That's
is.
all
It's
it is. And
always
then
been a
after
political
November
game.
3rd,
They used to go back to not
go
giving
back.
a damn.
And this is the
Understand.
thing. I don't want us to go back to that. Like, so I had this vision, right? because, you know, I just had this vision and I was like, all these powerful African-American women, and just here in San Antonio, shout out to all of you. Whether I fool with you or not, have a bought for
What up,
whatever,
beautiful black women.
I'm gonna try to do my. It's people that I have supported that I don't even speak to, and they don't even know I supported them because I don't do nothing loud. It doesn't even matter. Y'all know who I am. It is what it is. But so there's buildings around San Antonio, right? You know, like these big industrial buildings, right? And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, gosh. Just if 100 of us would put 5,000 on this one building. So every floor would be something. You know, downstairs we'll have the soul food restaurant. Yeah. And then on the first floor, it could be the hair. The second floor could be the barbers. Everybody have their own office. Everybody puts into that building. Everybody has something to stock, some type of hold, some type of whatever. And we continue to build that. If you build it, they will come. And not just our people.
Exactly.
Because everybody loves us.
Even if we're building it for our people, it's going to be
flourish.
Successful and flourish because others will come.
Everything.
You know, it can be floors with nothing but lawyers and a clinic. And it can be, we have so much that we can do if we just all came together.
Because the ego out.
That's the main thing.
That's what we talked about.
One thing they're never going to turn down is money. They take our money like it's water. Oh, yeah. So if we could just, it's this one building I've been wanting, and it's been empty for years, and it's just sitting there, and I'm like, man, it's like a 12-story building.
Oh, wow.
Got office spaces everywhere. Downstairs, it used to be a bank, so downstairs we can turn it into a restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
Or a bank.
And then they have, right. And upstairs they have the conference room, so that's where we can hold meetings. And like, you don't even understand how powerful this would be. And we will be leaving behind a legacy for the next generation to come and continue to build on.
Carry on a torch.
You know, and it's that olive branch and passing it and everybody, like if you doing your own thing, you don't care about what the next person is doing, but we're gonna be there to build and uplift each other. I just don't get it. I like to be in the back of everything.
Girl, behind the scenes, right?
First of all, because I don't want nobody to think I got anything extra that I can give. Let me just say that. Yes. Okay.
Right? I ain't trying to give up.
I ain't got it.
Second of all, I don't need nobody prying into my personal life. Yeah, my business is my business.
That is so
But
real.
if I can support you from behind closed doors, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
If you need me to plug you in with somebody because you've been trying and they've been blowing you off, and I know you trying, they know one phone call from me, they gonna call you because I'm gonna be in that ass. You know this person is calling you. What you doing? You ain't mad at that. You not that big to where I'm gonna do that because I'm, you know, that mother hen.
Back down to earth.
I want to see everybody succeed. It is important that, like, before I leave this earth, like, it's important that I watch all you young ladies after me, you know what I'm saying, have built and have flourished, because who am I leaving my children to?
That's real.
Who am I leaving to teach my children? Like, everything I've instilled in them, yes, okay, fine. But I'm not here to make sure that they're carrying that on. I need you here to do that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like important that we really, really, really sit down and try to figure out what can we do to come together. We cannot discuss anything else until we
have to learn to unite.
Exactly.
They did a very good job of building up the disunity in our community.
Yes.
Right. So
yes.
that in itself is the number
one issue.
And
I want to see. And to be honest with you, and I know we're gonna take some hits for this one, but if the black woman is not strong, the black man can't carry the torch.
Behind every great man is a strong black woman.
Exactly. And it's no disrespect to black men at all. What and even if it's a black man that doesn't have a black woman on his arm, you still have a black mother, you still have a black sister,
you have some
black
type of black
womanhood
that built
I was about to say, you don't have to be romantically involved. You don't have to be family. If I see a brother on the street, you my brother.
Man,
What you
you
need,
my
I got
brother.
you.
What
Absolutely.
you need,
Cause I got a
exactly.
girlfriend. I ain't gonna
But-
have no
Right.
husband,
But
but I support
to her
the black
point,
men.
That's right.
That's where
That's
they
what
got
I'm
us. They
saying.
killed our
That's what
unity
I'm
within they
saying.
killed our family unit.
It doesn't have to be. I don't
They
have to
stripped
know
us
you.
of our
If I
family
see
unit,
you,
man.
If I'm seeing you out here and you getting it,
Right.
and you getting it and you trying, man, say, look at here. I
support that.
This brother, like when I'm in these meetings and they're talking about who should we give some money to, I'm like, say, look at here, this brother right here. I need somebody to go and support him. I need somebody to go and make a logo for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he just may not have the means at the time, but give him the opportunities. We cannot continue to keep stepping on each other's necks. But at the same time, before we can unite black men, black women have to be united. Because we are powerful.
Oh yeah,
We
the
are
most
powerful.
supportive.
We are powerful. We are so powerful that we are a threat. We are so powerful
threat.
that we are a threat. We have raised others' children. We have breastfed
Oh yeah.
their children.
Yeah.
You understand me? Their children used to call my grandma mama.
Mama, yeah. But that's understood though, Adrian. That's again the reason they done what they done is because they recognize the threat and the power in the unity of the black man and woman, and that's why it was most important. I mean, that again, going back to what we brought up, that Willie Lynch shit is real,
It's
y'all.
real.
They
It's
broke
real.
up the family structure, the family unit, and forced us to watch them emasculate our men to where now we do it our damn selves. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
And stepping on their necks
And do it and
"Ah,
compete
nigga,
with
you ain't
each
nothing,"
other,
And, then,
you know,
and that's
I
not what. No, it's that those words. I don't care how strong a man is. Words pierce, and they hurt. And I tell people all the time, you have to be cautious with your words because your
yeah.
words can potentially make and break someone.
Well, from a spiritual level, y'all know I'm always put that on it. Words are spells. They call it spelling
Yes.
for a reason. So understand that, okay? And the more you get into etymology to understand the root origin of certain words and why we've been bamboozled to even say certain words for certain things, and it causes us to display the same habitual nature
Right.
and behave in a unfavorable way. A lot of it has to do with the wording behind whatever it is we're doing.
And this is why another thing too, even as educated as you guys are, you need to always speak showcasing your education.
Yes, ma'am.
Do not dumb yourself down.
Oh no, we ain't
You
doing
understand?
that.
To
That's
make
not a
others
thing.
feel comfortable.
We don't do that.
Because
Right.
as I speak, I have people say, Adrian, what does that mean? And that's important
okay.
to me.
Yeah.
Ask
Sometimes, my bad.
questions.
Yeah.
Because I
Don't be scared to say.
You
What
better
does that
not
mean?
be.
I agree.
I
agree. Don't be
want you to-
intimidated.
I
Nope.
want you to understand, even when you're in the hood, because even when I'm in the hoodest of the hoods, when I speak, I still speak like an educated woman until they make me mad. Then the other side come on. But until then, it's always going to be as an educated woman because that's what I am. And that's what I want to instill into my community. It is okay to speak proper.
Yes.
It is really okay to speak like you and sound like you have some sense.
I hate that. You sound like you talk
However-
white. I'm like,
However,
me too.
we
Look-
have to keep in mind, right? Certain folks brought up in different environments that have a different slang
That's
or have
fine.
a different
I talk
accent,
Ebonics
right? Like
all
I talk
day.
Southern. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm not saying I'm not forgetting where my roots are. What I'm
you
saying
know, but
is this.
but I'm saying they'll take that us using our Southern accent instead of saying accent, saying accent like that's talk. You know, we're
Be
talking.
the
Are you
cha-
talking
be the
hood? You
change
talking
wanna
ghetto?
see. Be the change you want to see. So, in order to
Be
do
yourself,
that, you
y'all.
have to you have to pick up. I always tell somebody it can be a magazine. Just pick it up. Words will enhance your vocabulary by
We gotta
so
read.
much
You
reading.
own to
Basically,
something.
read.
Read.
And if you don't know what the
They put
word
all the
means,
tricks in the books.
And if you
Okay.
don't understand what a word means, just pick up a dictionary.
For real.
man, every
Everybody-
time I do my schoolwork, if it's a
That's
word I
real.
don't get that I'm reading, I will
Go Google
stop
it real
and I
quick.
will
Read,
Google
what does
it,
that
and then
mean?
Go
I'll
back to it.
And that
every
is
single
okay.
word,
That's how
every
you
single
learn.
And
word.
it breaks
Yes,
down
ma'am.
verbs, adjectives, nouns,
Syllables.
pronouns. And there's nothing wrong. Like my mother is so
That's huge.
educated that I'm telling you, when you speak to her, you better speak like you have some common sense. She doesn't want to hear that other stuff. And so sometimes when I'm speaking to her, especially if I'm in a rampage or I'm in a rage or something, I'm like, and she'll stop and say, "You mean to say that they were there?" And I'm just like, you
Out of everything I just said.
You paying attention to the grammaticals.
But this is what I'm saying. Now I find myself when people speak to me,
You're doing the same thing.
and I think they think I'm, Adrian bougie. That's not bougie.
I do it too.
But I'm just saying, like, no, I just conversation goes a long way.
It does.
And when you can speak,
Relatability, all of that.
I used to have teachers because my oldest daughter, a lot of people don't know, but her father's white. Yes. So when they used to call, can I speak to Miss Hunt? This is she. How can I help you today? Things like that. And so then when they would meet me, like I remember a teacher was talking and she was like, I'm waiting for Shaughnessy's mom to come. And I'm standing there, but I'm just listening to her. I'm waiting for Shaughnessy's mom to come. We're supposed to be having a day. And one of the other ladies that was working there was just looking at me, and I kept going like this. Because my daughter is so white looking, she thought her mother was white. She didn't know that two other children that she was talking about were her siblings that I had.
Oh, wow.
Because when I
That
spoke
Eve
over the
gene.
phone, when I spoke over the phone, I was always so proper. And so then when we had a meeting, I had to ask her, why couldn't I have been her mother? Why did you think I wasn't her mother? The woman to this day probably cannot answer that question. You know why? One of the reasons why, because every interaction that we had was a phone conversation.
So she didn't know what you looked like. She didn't know the face behind the voice.
Because my children were in a predominantly African American school, and most of the mothers at that time, you talking about, the late 90s, early 2000s, we were on that hood shit. We were young mothers. And we talked what we were around. So they were so used to that. You got me and my child. They were so used to that when she finally realized who I was, but I kept asking her, we cannot have a meeting until you explain to me, why did you feel I wasn't her mother?
And she couldn't answer.
She could never
to this
answer
day
it.
Cannot.
Probably
That's
can't.
crazy. Well, Adrianne, we thank you so very much, girl, for dropping by and coming to the
I
podcast.
love
with
y'all.
us.
Just let me let y'all know. Like, tune into my girls. They're young. They're with it. They talk that shit. They talk that talk.
And walk that walk, man.
Right.
And they walk that walk. And I'm just so proud of you guys. I know I act crazy with y'all sometimes, but that's what I'm supposed to do to keep you on your toes. Because
Girl, you do that.
We need it.
From the first time I met your ass, I was like, what in the world?
I expect you. I know. I can tell by your demeanor.
Okay, cool.
She's not used to it. But once you get to know me is to love me, because all I want to do is see you succeed. What did I tell you guys? Why didn't you tell me you was doing a podcast?
She sure did.
I would have gotten people to come and invested into you, because that's what my job is. And I do everything from the back end. I don't need no shout out. I don't need any of that. All I need is for when I say, hey, I need you to show up here to do this, you do it. Because when you do that, those are the people that's going to invest in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand? I am proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I want to push you, and I want to push this podcast for you, because it's raw and it's real and it's black women.
Hey, she
and
done
I'm
said it.
Support it.
Just know that the reason we started B Raw Podcast was for that. We want to build with other like-minded, other black men and
I
women.
have somebody asking, when do y'all come on?
We air episodes every week. It'll be between Friday and Sunday that episodes drop. Find us on Facebook at B Raw Podcast, BRAW Podcast. Also on YouTube and Instagram. And we're currently now streaming on Spotify, Google Cast. You are more than welcome to come back and visit us at B Raw Podcast at any time. So please join us next week as we delve into topics from our Rize Summit with another one of our panelists. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Rize Summit, it is currently now streaming on our B Raw Podcast YouTube channel. It was a 3.5-hour long panel summit.
Very
Fire
good.
gems dropped, whole bunch of really great conversation. And when I say there was not a dull moment, I mean exactly that. We had some great talent, some local business spotlight ads, and a little bit more to look at. So if you haven't checked it out, please feel free to do so. Again, we stream on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube every week. Every week we drop a new episode, and so we hope you tune in to us next week.
One more. Is there somewhere that the people can find you, Adrianne?
Yes,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry. So my Facebook is just Adrianne House. And if I don't accept you, just tell me, like, why you know, friend request, because I don't know, I have so many different friend requests, and I don't
People
really
know
like
who
that.
they are. Yes.
And
I just delete them if they do something stupid.
right,
One stupid thing, you gone.
You're gone. And I saw
Seriously.
that.
That's
And
right.
then
So
I have
at
my
Adrianne House,
at-
right?
yeah, and in my Instagram, I'm gonna change my name, but it's Sweet Jazzy Classy.
Okay,
My
awesome.
Instagram.
So that's how you can find
I don't have
our
snaps
dear,
and all
dear
of that
friend, Miss
stuff.
Adrianne House. So,
All right. Well, thank
Well,
you guys.
y'all for
Tune in
tuning
next week.
We'll see you next time. And until then, stay black, stay raw, stay real.
And enjoy your black ass day.